Hello students, this is your Bhushan sir. Hope all of you are safe and fine at home. In the previous class and video, we have learned the topic of remote sensing, wherein we can collect the information or data of any objects on the earth without having its contact by using sensors placed at a very far distance. This information or data finds a very wide applications in the topic that we are going to deal today, that is Geographic Information System. In short, it is called GIS. As we all know that Earth is one of the superior planets in the solar system. It is the only planet provided with atmosphere and a protective cover of ozone layer. Hence, it supports the sustainability of life on it. The total surface area of the Earth is around 510 million square kilometers, of which 2/3, that is 361 million square kilometers, is covered over by sea and oceanic water. Rest 1/3 of it, that is 148 million square kilometers, forms the areas of land and ecosystems that includes mountains, deserts, plains, plateaus, and other forms of land. These landforms are generally noted as terrestrial biomes. It is richly provided with wide natural resources and significant objects. But in recent decades, the world population is getting exploded so much that it is using and destroying these natural resources and the significant objects of the earth. Thus, it brings in the changes both in the environment as well as ecosystem that becomes unsuitable for the life. So to study these disturbances on the earth, we need geographic mapping. Thus comes the technology of Geographic Information System, or GIS. Fine students. Geographic Information System, or GIS, can be divided into two parts. First is geography and the second is information system. The term geography refers to the study of nature and features of the earth and their relative changes, whereas the term information system refers to a set or a group of parts of computer system which involves in the collection of data, storing of data, processing of data into useful information. Students, now if we combine both the terms of geography and information system, it gives the definition of Geographic Information System together. So, GIS can be defined as a computer-based application wherein the geographic or earth data is collected, stored, manipulated, retrieved, or analyzed. The collection of data is by many techniques. One of it is remote sensing, which we have learnt already. Students, remember here the data of the earth or space, what the GIS collects, is said to be very large or voluminous, which could be either of raw data or real-time data. After the collection of the data need to be processed, for which we make use of the technology of GIS. So down in this slide, you can find the picture depicting the actual definition of Geographic Information System. After we understanding the definition, next we will move on to the components of GIS. There are 6 components of GIS. Now we shall understand each of them one by one. The first one is hardware, second is software, third is data, fourth is methods or procedures, fifth is people, and the sixth one is network. All together works for the technology of GIS. So we shall understand one by one of the component of GIS. First one to start is hardware. It is one of the component of GIS. As we know, hardware refers to physical parts of the computer system used in GIS at workstations. It includes computer monitors, servers, CPUs, scanners, digitizers, printers, plotters, powerful mobile phones, etc. All the input and output devices along with the servers that store the data come under this particular component. You can see them in this slide here. The next component is software. This is the component that includes various computer programs or tools that are used for the operation of GIS or working of GIS. The softwares like GIS library, map server, web GIS, mobile GIS, desktop GIS, management of data using DBMS GIS, that is database management system GIS, etc. Of all the softwares, ArcGIS and QGIS softwares are considered to be the leaders of the softwares in GIS. These tools are used to input, manipulate, access the data of the earth. The next component is data. Data here refers to geographical data or geodata or earth data, which is either raw or real-time data. GIS data is stored in the attribute tables, and there are 2 types of data, namely raster and vector. Raster data looks like grid lines in the form of rows and columns. It is widely used to represent the land cover, temperature data, then imagery data, etc. Whereas the vector data or layer data is in the form of points or lines or polygons. It is used to represent the administrative boundaries of a given geographical area. You can visualize the data types, namely raster in the form of rows and columns, vectors in the form of points and polygons as represented in this slide here. The next component of GIS is methods or procedure. It is the stage in which the raw data or real data is converted into an understandable information that could be processed. So it includes various formulae, statistics, analysis, and algorithms that could be used to change the data into information stage. It includes various models and operating practices which are very unique to each of the type of organization. The next component is people. The people segment here refers to anyone who uses GIS. It includes the general public who uses a printed map or a digital globe, or it could be skilled GIS professionals who works in the workstations of GIS. These professionals generally involve all phases of the development of GIS, such as those who involve in collection of data like cartographers. As we have understood, they are the group of professionals who are involved in drawing the scientific diagram of the data. Then surveyors who create the maps. Then technical professionals who upload the data of a system, manipulate a system, or even analyze the data in the form of results. The next component is network. Network here refers to both computer and social networks. Both of these networks collaborate and help in sharing of data from the GIS source to the public. Thus, the display of information will be in the form of web maps, web applications, etc. Students, to summarize the components of GIS, first one is hardware that includes physical parts of GIS. Second one is software that includes various GIS programs of operation. Third is data, which is geographical data collected. Fourth is the method or procedure wherein the raw data is converted into an understandable information. And the fifth one is people who involves the public as well as professionals of the GIS. And then sixth one is the network that coordinates the rest of all the components and shares the information from the source of GIS to the needy through the web maps and web applications. With this, we are completing the components of GIS. Students, after we understanding the components of GIS, now we shall understand the wide applications of GIS. Remember, GIS is the technology which finds its application in various fields such as agriculture, astronomy, architecture, monitoring of polar zones, aviation, monitoring of climatic changes, crime, defense, disaster management, ecology, energy, environment, then forestry, geology, groundwater analysis, health mapping, land use, media, history, internet, fields of municipality use, mining, soil mapping, telecommunication, transportation, weather mapping, and aquatics mapping. Let us now understand GIS application in each of the field one by one. First one is GIS application in the field of agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of our country. Agricultural GIS provides information about the status of the crop yield in the given farmland. Thus, it helps in the usage of less fertilizers and more crop yield, and this particular technology we call it as precision farming. Precision farming is a technology wherein we make use of less fertilizers and more of the crop yield. GIS also helps in monitoring the spread of pests, diseases causing pathogens so that disease control measures are applied. GIS gives the details of soil conditions, weather parameters which are suitable for a crop production. Thus, it helps in good crop productivity. This is called as crop assimilation model. So, we apply by looking at the weather conditions, soil conditions or parameters to grow the good yield of the crops. This technology we call it as crop assimilation model. Similarly, GIS helps in monitoring the quantification of the agricultural pollution in the environment and also gives the details on irrigation, drought conditions to the farmers. GIS also finds its application in the field of astronomy or planetary system. GIS type of this kind gives the details of asteroids, details of the other planets like Mars, helps in mapping of Mars, water flow on Mars, then landing of Mars rover operations, then details of the planet Venus, mapping of Venus planet, then geological study of it, surveying of inner part of Milky Way galaxy, etc. Next is GIS finds its application in the field of architecture. This GIS application of architecture involves planning of high-rise buildings, study of impact of noise on urban life, then smart development planning of urban areas, construction of buildings to install and harvest alternative forms of energy like solar power using solar panels, then shadow analysis onto the surrounding areas by buildings, then parking availability and designing of space in the urban areas. These are all few applications of GIS in the architecture field. The next is GIS also finds its application in the analysis of polar zones, namely Arctic and Antarctica zones. It includes monitoring of boundaries of Arctic zones like Canada, Norway, Greenland, etc., and monitoring of shipping route shortcuts for the transportation of goods through the Arctic passage using the path of melting ice in the North Pole, then also helps in monitoring the sea ice motion, subglacial lakes, and also gets the information on the health of vulnerable fauna like polar bear, then recording of risk factors like ice of sea, then temperature, distance, etc. for navigation. The next is GIS application in the field of aviation. It includes flight radars to control the air traffic at centers, to track the airplanes, such as to track the aeroplanes, then airpads, etc. The technology is also used to monitor the military zones like drone no-fly zones, then preparing charts for the aeronautical paths, then to guard the obstructions in the runway zones, and to monitor the noise levels in the airport. Then comes GIS application in the field of climatic change mapping. A supportive climate is necessary for a sustained life. Any change in the climate will pull down the life of the people in the given environment. So, GIS will find its application. So, climate change will affect the life of the people in the given geographical area. So is the necessity of GIS application to monitor these climatic changes. The climate change of atmosphere, oceans, land is recorded using satellites of NASA Earth Observatory. The technology is also used to develop the models in ecosystem, to compensate the damages, to monitor the sea level rise, desertification of land, deforestation areas, mapping of pollution of types like air, noise, water, etc. Then to study the habitats of fauna like birds and vegetations through the time of climatic changes. Then also to study the conditions of smog of a city. Smog here refers to combination of smoke and fog. Next is GIS finds its application in monitoring the crime. GIS is used to map an incident of crime, such as assaults, burglary, then robbery, theft, prostitution, etc. The technology is also used to recover the vehicles and auto theft. It is used to track the movement of the past criminal offenders and to allocate the law enforcement by police, and also used to navigate missing bodies, etc. Forensic GIS is widely used to investigate the crime. Next is application of GIS in the field of military or defense field. Imagery data is used to locate the terrorists, then evacuation of public during the devastating disasters, locating ground weapons, then locating dangerous zones, monitoring emergency situations, then developing the attack maps, posting the guards to the choke points during the emergency, and developing the war maps. So these are all few applications related to GIS in the field of defense. Next is GIS finds its application in the field of disaster management. Disaster is a sudden or accidental damage that happens to the nature. It includes earthquakes, explosion of chemicals, then landslides, hurricanes, oil spills, forest fire, flood, tsunami, volcanic eruptions, etc. GIS is used to monitor and manage these disasters. 3D mapping of geodata helps in depicting the earthquakes, explosion of chemicals, vulnerability of landslides, tracking of hurricane paths, then identifying current directions of the oil spills, severity of forest fires, then flood forecasting, identifying risk of tsunami, and management of volcanic spillage. Next is GIS application in the field of ecology and environment. GIS is used to study migration patterns in birds and animals, monitoring of species biodiversity against human activities, measurement of environmental damage through the environmental impact assessment, then mapping of dead zones in sea where marine life is not supported, then monitoring of ozone layer. Next is GIS application in the field of energy. Most of the revolutionary development in a country is dependent on the energy resources. But at present, there is a crucial crisis for these energy resources due to the population explosion. So, is the need of energy GIS applications. It includes monitoring of tides in the oceans, wind in the hill stations, which are used as alternative energy forms. Then it also is used in the safeguarding of people during nuclear disposal, then to understand the availability of coal in a coal mine, then selection of dam sites to generate the hydraulic power. Next is GIS application in the field of forestry. Forests are the areas of uncultivated vegetations. It forms a habitat for many wildlife. They form a major natural resources for guarding the water table also. So, forestry GIS application helps us to know and plot forest fires, monitoring of deforestation and reforestation, illegal logging, vegetational potentiality, then detecting the age of the trees, etc. GIS is also used to analyze the groundwater. This type of GIS is used to examine the movement of coarse materials like sand in the groundwater. This is called as Darcy flow estimation. GIS is also used to analyze quantification of groundwater in a given location. It is used to evaluate contamination of groundwater by industrial plants, agricultural activities, and even the landfills. Next is GIS application in the field of health mapping. Health is the backbone of democracy and economy of a country. If the health is lost, it disturbs the economy of a country too. Hence, GIS is widely used to monitor disease outbreaks that happens globally. It includes examples of Ebola, swine flu, and even corona. It is used to monitor the patients and diseases related to heart, then cancer like leukemia, asthma, etc. of a given place. It provides the information to find closest doctor for the treatment at emergency. Health GIS is also used to maintain vital records of births and deaths and even a database of AIDS and HIV patients. It is used to track a patient and provide telemedicines. The technology is used to respond ambulance services during emergency. Students, remember, at present we are in the pandemic situation of facing corona and COVID-19, and wider applications of GIS of health mapping is used in this particular pandemic time. Next is GIS finds its application in the field of history. History reveals the significance of the past life and the state of resources present then. It is the pride factor of a country. Hence, GIS is used to locate a historical place, help to map the distance traveled by pilgrimages, guarding the boundaries of historical places, then monitoring the culture preservation, and to study geophylogeny, that is, evolution of our ancestors with geographic spread. GIS is also used in the field of internet. It is used to block or limit the access of internet or sharing of photos, videos, audio, text, or any data in violent areas and situations, especially during law amendation. GIS is also used in the municipality or urban fields. It is used to map and report potholes of roadways, report infrastructure defects in assets, especially during alarm situations, alarming the public during the time of repair works, to know where exactly the water breaks are, then to light up the bridges at remote areas, then defining the areas of waste collection and rendering the services there, then collection of data of homeless shelters, designing the sewerage system, street cleaning, closure of roads are alarmed to the users, the defining speed limits in the areas of curvatures like guard sections, then mapping of burial or cemetery grounds, and analysis of water quality and management of solid waste in the urban areas. The next is GIS applications in the field of mining. It is used to calculate the depth and availability of ore or mineral. It is used to map the natural resources like uranium, gemstones, diamonds, etc. It is used to track the mining activities. It is used to explore coal availability and rehabilitation of mine back to their original state. That supports the lives of the affected. Next is GIS finds its application in soil mapping. It is used to know the soil types and their suitable seedlings for sowing process, soil grid for agriculture, analyze the soil moisture, water retention capacity, salinity, etc. It is also used to identify the hot spots of soil erosion and evacuate the people from such places. GIS is also used in the field of telecommunication. It is to estimate the wavelength of radio waves for propagation of any information to locate the cell towers of a place. It is used to manage the network and to plan the fiber optic cables and their capacity, and also to monitor the signal expansion such as Wi-Fi signals and hotspot signals. Next is GIS application in the field of transportation. It is used to monitor the deadliest and safest roads, turn restrictions, then to estimate parking places, to analyze infrastructure damage, to monitor road accidents, then to provide data through GPS, videos, cameras, then to provide shortest distance, to determine the travel cost, then to manage the roadways, trip generation at tolls, to plan new airlines and bus routes, to record urban traffic and its influence on air pollution, then to share bikes in bike program stations, etc. Remember students, GPS is widely used in cities like Bangalore now. Next is GIS finds its application in weather prediction or mapping. It is used to record light reflections and their concentrations, which we call as solar irradiance, that would help us to harness the solar power. It gives the details of rainfall, temperature, snowfall, weather warnings, warnings of oceanic anomalies, etc. Next is GIS application in the field of aquatics. Aquatics refers to the organisms of water, especially of oceans, seas, and rivers. GIS of this type is used to study the habitat of fishes, tracking of whale, shark, then to study the spawn sites or the breeding sites of the fishes. GIS is also used to record the pollutants that affects the life of the aquatic organisms and their sources. Then it is also used to monitor and control the overfishing process and helps in monitoring the stress related factors for the fishes. Students, we have learned the topic of GIS that includes the concepts of definition, components, and applications. Components concept is important for short note answer question, and application concept is important for major question of 10 marks. Do watch my video on this topic in my YouTube channel. Comments and queries can be posted to my WhatsApp number. Thank you all. Wish you all a very good day ahead.